Hi. This is interact. Wow. Okay, well, this is my very first time going live, so um, I don't even really know what I'm doing, but I wanted to just come out here and just say hi and open it up for Q&A. Like I said, I've never done this before, so thanks for hopping on. I am busy putting together some research on some properties that I'm looking at. I just closed a month ago on this really exciting property, and so I'm doing some research now. So I thought that I would kind of hop on here, and yeah, like I said, this is my first time going live, so please hang in there with me. Getting some questions. What kind of investment have you done? So I've done a bunch of different things. I invest in real estate. I have multiple portfolios. I invest in stocks, and I invest in startups. I'm an angel investor as well. So there are a few startups that I've invested in that I also help to consult for, and that's been. But I would say the majority of my investing happens in the stock market. Thanks for asking, Ahmed. I'm not even gonna butcher your name. I'm so sorry. But thanks for asking. I would say the majority of my investments in my portfolio are individual companies. I do talk a lot about ETFs, and I think that there is a place for ETFs and for investing in ETFs. I think that if you don't want to take a very active role in your investing, ETFs is a great place to put your money. The average stock market return over the last 100 years is 8 to 10%. So ETFs is a good place if you want to be a passive investor. For me, my goals are massive. I want to build generational wealth. And so investing in ETFs isn't going to give me the same return that I'm going to get really researching companies, investing in things that I understand, and getting the velocity of my money, keeping that really high so that I'm making big returns constantly. Hi, nice to meet you. And so yes, I think that there is a place. Thanks for becoming my top one viewer. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. For everybody who's just joined, thank you so much for hanging out with me. This is my very first live, so I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know if I should be checking things or whatnot, but I appreciate you so much. Thank you. Devin Reese for all the roses. Wow. Thank you. That's very special. But yeah, thank you for your questions. Like I said, I'm a, and I think there is a bit of, there's people in the passive investing camp, and then there's a lot of people in the active investing camp, and a lot of people say, stock picking is a recipe for disaster. You shouldn't be a stock picker, and I don't necessarily see myself as a stock picker. I just want to invest in things that I understand, and that I have a high degree of certainty around this business. And I guess I would consider myself a value investor, and especially in the last 10 years with the bull market, a lot of people have said, oh well, value investing is dead, it's all about growth stocks, and I don't believe that. So I don't see myself necessarily as a value investor. I think I'm more of a focused investor, and so I have really been following sort of like Warren Buffett style investing, but I do have my own things that work. And there, I do some technical trading too. I do options in a very conservative way. So I'm not out there making big bets. I'm not going for, the crazy risky stuff. My type of investing is I have a lot of certainty around what I'm doing. I put a lot of research into it, and that is what has gotten me like the huge success and the huge returns that I've had over 5 years. And I've compounded my money at like over 50% a year. I've had some years that have been 100, 200%. And so yeah, I think that there is a place for, if you're willing to put in the work and you're willing to put in the time to learn, that investing into wonderful businesses, companies that you can understand, that you've done research in, is really the type of investing that you can do in an up market and in a down market. And if you understand the value of a business and you know what price to pay, and you can get it on sale, that is the best. That is the best. But there is a place for ETFs, and they are important too, and index funds, and you can do, you can do well with that too. But real estate is my other thing, and then startup, investing in startups and founders. That's a great intro. What is your advice for people wanting to start active investing? Education. If you have been sitting on the sidelines, if you've built up a little bit of money and you're ready to go deploy it, it really depends on how active you want to be. If you want to, if you want to be sitting there making trades, if you want to be watching, I would say start learning how to value a business. How to and use different methods of valuation. I use 3 different ways of valuing a business. I do a lot of research. I have a checklist of things that need to be met in order for me to feel comfortable. I do an inversion strategy where I, once I'm like really into this company and I love it, and I now am maybe bordering on confirmation bias, and I think this is going to be a great thing, then I kind of like flip that script and make sure that I'm like pulling it apart and like what could go wrong, and I have this process. But I would say if you want to start active investing, learn how to do it responsibly. Start off with money that you can lose if you have to. And then the other like big thing, like cannot stress this enough, is that you should be paper trading first. Do a few months or as long as you need to feel comfortable. Most online brokerages, most banks, wherever you are going to be doing your trading in, they will have some sort of like paper trading situation that you can do, and paper trading to validate your own skills, but also to give you practice. Like one that I used, especially in the beginning, was Thinkorswim, is TD Ameritrade. And you can get so much practice. You can do years and years. I think they go up to 3 years. You can do years of trades in there and see the outcome of if you would have done well. And it's especially good for options trading too. Yeah. Thank you so much for the questions. I wasn't like sure what to expect. I'm like just kind of hanging out over here, researching some things. So it's so nice to see some of you guys here, and I'm just here to serve and share my knowledge and build community. So yeah, I appreciate it. Any other questions? I'm gonna be kind of opening things up here. And if you have any questions about investing or, I'd be happy to answer any questions as well. But my investing journey really, it started, I mean, I've always wanted to be a trader. I was like, oh, so fancy, investment banker. And then realized that, I don't know, maybe that's not what I should be doing. And I also kind of just went off of a whole other trend. And it wasn't until many years later that when I realized that, holy shit, saving is not enough. Saving is not going to get me to, and I want to live a big and authentic life. You know, I want to have freedom of time. I want to spend all my time with my kid. I'm divorced. I'm a single mom. I want to spend as much time with my kid as possible. And the only way I'm going to do that is if I don't want to be a slave to this corporate job. And I do still have a corporate job, you know, and it's only because I do love what I do. And at some point, you know, maybe that won't be, you know, maybe that'll change. But yeah, I just realized that I need to, I'm going to need to do more, and I'm going to need to do something different, because I didn't come from money. So, you know, all of a sudden I'm single, I'm divorced, I have a 2-year-old, and I just got this house, huge mortgage, have all these things. And I'm like, holy shit, need to figure this out. So yeah, that's really how I got into it. And I just realized I have such a passion for it, and it's something that I'm really, really good at. And I'm like, holy shit, man, I'm really good at this. And I don't have to have the anxiety of oh, mark it up, mark it down. I really have a way of getting a lot of certainty about what I'm doing. So, Grizzly, what's your opinion on mergers and or staff board member takeovers? If you are referring to maybe something like a Twitter situation, you know, there are mergers can be good, you know, if it's not a hostile takeover. If there are staff and board member takeovers, honestly, here's my opinion on it. And I think in any business, when there is a transition and there is a change in ownership or there is a change in management, inevitably there is going to be collateral damage, and some people are going to agree with the new direction and some people are not going to agree with the direction. And I think that it is better that there is a clean slate, or the cleanest possible slate. And unfortunately that means that people might have to go, or they might be let go, or they might want to go by themselves. But you know, if companies are merging and people need to let go, that's always shitty. So from an employee perspective, that's horrible. And the company should be taking care of you. You know, a really, really, really great example of how to deal with letting people go or making a change in staff is really what Airbnb did at the beginning of the pandemic, and how they were so supportive with the people that they had to let go. And I think that is a great example of how to handle when there is a changeover in staff or in board members. But you know, if it's maybe a Twitter situation where now Elon Musk is, you know, taking over and the board is kind of oh, and the senior leadership are oh, we don't know, maybe they will keep their job, maybe they'll get fired, who knows, who really knows what's going to happen there. But I think that there is, if you're the person that is in that position, it could feel shitty. And I would say that sometimes it's a necessity. Sometimes a business, there's a merger or an acquisition for a reason. And it's because that business has been underperforming and there's huge potential. And the company buying that business sees that there's huge potential. And then that leadership team needs to go because they're part of the problem. But you know, if you're on the receiving end of that, that's super shit. So I don't know. Did that answer your question? I'm not even sure if I kind of hit the mark there. But yeah, maybe if you have something more specific, in public traded companies, I've been a part of 2 board changeovers and mergers, and they lost huge money. Yep, you know, they're gonna, if they're not doing it right, you know, then you're gonna be fucked. So there is a way to do it well, and there is a way to do it not well. And unfortunately, big companies, and especially like big funds, like big venture capitalist funds, like they're so transactional that you know, they don't really like take care of things well. They don't take a very strong human approach to things, and ultimately businesses are made up of people. So if you're not going to take care of people, they don't feel supportive, they don't feel taken care of, like it's not going to be good. It's going to be bad. You did answer that well. Okay, thank you. Well, thank you so much. I have a meeting, so this is my very first time, so thank you so much. If there's like anything that you want to know more of, you know, we're a small group here, you know, there's 4 or 5 people, so you know, next time you see me, I'll give you all of my attention. I'm just sort of like still trying, you know, still like trying it out. So thank you. I appreciate you guys so much. And I love answering questions, and, you know, pop into my comments. I try to always get back to my comments if they're appropriate. So just, you know, I'll see you around. Thank you. I know how to get the hell out of here.